Her name is Dory.
Hi, Dory.
So we're going to start off with a little song. If you don't like to sing, then can you clap? Okay, here we go. A one, a two, a 1, 2, 3. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, then your face will surely show it. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. Well done, I'm impressed. So, even bad singing, but that was very good singing, has been shown in the scientific literature to improve happiness levels. So, come on in, Fred. All right. So thank you everyone for coming today. Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Sandra Sieber. I am a physical therapist and the Inspirational Wellness Advisor here at the Garlands. And today we're going to be talking about the most important thing in the world, your happiness. We're going to be talking about what happiness is. Hopefully you already have some prior experience with happiness. We're going to be talking about why you want to be happy. Hopefully you know that too. And we're going to be talking about how you can become happier. You may or may not know that, and it does not involve alcohol. All right, and so I'm going to let you in on a little secret. What makes me really, really happy is actually talking into a microphone. It's kind of fun. And sharing this information. So I love learning new things and then being able to share it with a captive audience. So thank you for coming. I hope today is informational and inspirational. So we're going to start off by first defining what happiness is. So a lot of people will think happiness is excitement and passion and aliveness and joy, and it is that. But for our purposes today, we are just going to define happiness as anything that feels good to you. And where's Mike McLaughlin? There he is. So he always points me out when I say the English incorrectly, and I know it's feeling well, but I'm going to use feeling good today. So happiness is feeling good. So that can mean feeling calm, right? Or clarity, when you're really focused and engaged, when you're learning something new, you're interested in something. Feelings of empowerment, and of course, love and joy, etc. So even if you start to think about those feelings and kind of internalize them in your body, like, what does satisfaction feel like? And just kind of feel that. You can start to feel a little bit better in your body. And so that's what we're talking about today. Okay, so now you know what happiness is. You're welcome. Thanks for coming. Hope you got a lot out of it. All right, does anyone know who this man is? Woo, right there in the front. Cheryl got it. It's Aristotle. So great philosopher. So Aristotle says this: it is the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it. So that's what I want you to do today. Except I want you to accept what I'm saying, because after all, I'm a doctor. All right. So Aristotle, back in 350 BC, he believed that happiness was the most important thing for humans to prioritize, and that a happy person was the greatest contribution to society. Wow. And if you stop and think about that, it kind of makes sense. So a happy person is one that is engaged, passionate. They're usually clear and compassionate and kind. And those are great people to have in a society, right? So the Bible also talks about happiness and joy. If you're familiar with Proverbs 15:17, it says, "Better is a dish of vegetables where there is love than a fattened bull where there is hatred." And so today, big government groups like the Pentagon and big businesses like Google and the NFL, they're also talking about happiness. It's kind of a big deal these days. Colleges such as Stanford and Harvard offer these happiness courses each semester, which routinely fill up with students. I myself took a course online through Coursera.com about happiness. Myself and along with 60,000 other students took this course. So it turns out there's a whole host of benefits when you're in a positive brain state versus a negative or neutral state. And this has been proven in the scientific literature. So happiness is not only good for society, but it's beneficial to the individual. For one thing, it makes you healthier. So happiness predicts lower levels of heart rate and blood pressure. It also improves something called your heart rate variability, and that's how steady and the rhythm of your heart rate. And it's associated with various diseases, and the happiest people have shown to have the healthiest heart rate variability. Studies also show that being happy strengthens your immune system, so you're less likely to catch a cold. You also have a more robust response to vaccines, so your antibodies are produced more rapidly when you're in these feel-good states. You recover more quickly from stress, and you experience fewer aches and pains. You're less likely to be frail, and being happy is associated with a longer life. So this isn't to say that if you have high blood pressure or high heart rate that you're an unhappy person, just that taking steps to feel better more often may have a positive impact on your health and well-being. But let's not stop there. Happiness also makes you more successful. Research shows that your brain in a positive state versus a negative or neutral brain state is 3 times more creative. Your productive energy increases by 31%. You're 40% more likely to be promoted, so you can share that with your children or grandchildren. And there's a 25% increase in performance rating, a 37% rise in sales. You make better decisions, and if you're a physician, you make better decisions, and you experience 23% less stress. So every single business and educational outcome improves in a positive brain state. And we are educating our employees here at the Garlands, as well as the members, about the benefits of a positive brain state, because some say a positive and engaged brain may be the greatest advantage we have in our modern economy. So in addition to the fact that feeling good simply feels good, we also experience positive health benefits and find more success and performance enhancements in our lives. So while it may seem that many of us are interested in value happiness because we want it for our friends and family as well as ourselves, for instance, talk to any parents of a newborn baby and you ask them, what do you want your little baby boy or girl to be when they grow up? And most of the time they'll say what? I just want them to be happy, right? So we really value our happiness, we seem to. However, studies show that 50 to 60% of the time, more than half the time, we sacrifice our happiness for other things we think are more important in our day-to-day lives when we're making decisions. And so why is that? Well, it may be due to the fact that we have the formula for success backwards. We postpone our happiness in order to reach goals we think will make us happy, like a new car, or a job, or a relationship, or losing weight, when science actually shows that we are much more powerful and successful and likely to reach our goals when we are feeling good first. And that is why I want you to make being happy the most important thing in your life. Because when you do that, you're not only going to benefit yourself, you're going to benefit your friends, your family, your community, your society, your world, right? So that leads me to the next point. How do we get there? How do we get happier? So we could look at these fuzzy bunnies. That makes you a little happy for the moment. But it turns out that it could be something as simple as prioritizing your happiness. It turns out it seems to be a big factor in being happy. So there was a research study, 2 groups of people. One group was sent an email, and all it said was, prioritize your happiness today. So they were reminded to do things that made them happy. The second group received no email. At the end of this research study, the group that received an email was significantly happier than the group that had no reminder. So that tells us that we know what we need to do to be happier, we just need to be reminded that it's important. We also may need to develop some new thoughts and new beliefs. Have you heard of the exciting field of neuroplasticity? Yes, yes and no? So what that is, it's the ability of the brain to change itself. Okay? It's a relatively new field because we didn't have this awareness 50 years ago. We just thought we were products of our genes and the environment, and we stopped developing our brains at the age of 18. But that's not true. It turns out our brains are plastic, and that just means they're soft, they're malleable, we can change them. And so you can teach an old dog new tricks. You can trick your brain to happiness. So according to research scientist Dr. Shawn Achor, who is the author of the book, The Happiness Advantage, he says, we're not just products of our genes and our environment, but by changing our mindset and habits, we can actually dramatically change the course of our lives. So I want to share with you two significant research studies. One occurred back in the 90s, and then one was more recent. So the first was a study out of Harvard by a woman named Ellen Langor. She was way ahead of her time. So I apologize if you've heard this study before, it's one of my favorites. She took a group of 70-year-old men, and she took them away into a cabin in the forest somewhere where they were secluded from other people, and she said, I want you to pretend like you're 20 years younger, like you're in your 50s. I want you to only talk about jobs you had when you were in your 50s. I want you to wear clothes that you wore when you were in your 50s. We're going to decorate the decor so it's the style in the back when you were in your 50s, etc., etc. And she took health parameters before and after the study, and pictures before and after. And what she found is that every single health parameter, and I'm talking blood lipids, cholesterol, blood sugar, etc., had improved. Not only that, outside raters rated the participants as younger after the study than before. And so that suggests that what you think, the power of your mind, really has an effect on your reality. So the second study, a little more recent, involved housekeepers all over the nation from different hotels. And they told these housekeepers about the benefits of exercise and how important it is to exercise and everything it does for your heart, your brain, etc. And in one group, they said, you know, all that exercise you're doing every day while you're cleaning these rooms counts as exercise for you. So you're doing enough movement. This is great. The other group, they didn't mention anything like that at all. They just educated about the importance of exercise. At the end of this study, the people who were told that they were doing enough and they were exercising well in their job, they had improved in their health parameters. And mind you, they weren't doing anything different than they had been doing the previous years that they had been working as a housekeeper. So it's just amazing, again, if you believe that you're doing something beneficial for yourself, what kind of impact that has on your body. Okay, so in his research, Dr. Achor discovered several happiness exercises that we can do for 21 days that will actually begin to rewire your brain to be in a more positive state. So you do these every day. You can pick one or do all 5 of them. So let's take a closer look at what those are. So the first one is meditation, and we can do a whole lecture series on meditation, just going over kind of the myths, dispelling what it is, the benefits, etc. But for now, I just want you to experiment with 2 minutes of meditation. That's what was shown in the study to affect your happiness levels. We're going to have you just sit comfortably in your chair. You can put both feet on the ground. And what I want you to focus on is your breath. So you're just going to when I tell you, I'll have you close your eyes, and you're just going to feel your breath maybe coming into your nostrils, out your nostrils. You can notice your belly rising and falling. And what's going to happen is your mind's going to drift. You're going to think of to-dos, or you're going to start thinking about things, and that's fine. Meditation is not the complete absence of thoughts. It's the practice of bringing your awareness back to your breath. That's all it is. And each time you practice doing that, it's like when you do a repetition with a bicep curl, you're building that muscle, you're building that focus. And that's going to help you respond rather than react in your day. It's going to help you have a clearer mind, and it also makes you happier. All right, so go ahead and close your eyes. I'm going to set the timer for 2 minutes, and I'd just like you to focus on your breath. Go ahead and open your eyes. Bring your attention back to the room. So the next exercise that has been proven to raise happiness levels involves appreciation. So I'm going to have you rip off a piece of paper. If you don't have a notebook, you can just borrow from a friend and use one of the pens on the table. But I'd like you to write down 3 things that you appreciate in your life. And if you do choose to do this exercise for the 21 days, you need to choose 3 different things each day. Okay? So go ahead and do that now. Okay, so we finish that up. The next exercise is you're going to write for 2 minutes about something good that happened to you in the past 24 hours. Okay, so I'm starting the timer. It can be one thing or several things. Just kind of write a rampage of good things that are happening in your life. And this is focusing your brain to focus on the positive, so it's an exercise. Okay, go ahead and stop. And then the next thing I'm going to have you do, this is the last writing thing, is to write a short note, a thank you note to someone. For example, dear friend, thank you so much for having dinner with me last night. I really enjoyed it. So something really easy that you can send to a friend or a loved one. So go ahead and do that. great, thank you. So the last one is my favorite. It might not be your favorite, but it is movement. So all you have to do is 10 minutes to receive these happiness boosting benefits every day. And to get the most bang for your buck, I suggest walking outside, appreciating nature, okay, for 10 minutes. So speaking of movement, I'd like you all to stand up. If you don't stand, then you can stay seated in your chair. We're going to do a little bit of movement because we've been sitting for a while. I know. So we're going to start by just moving our hips. Okay, so you can hold onto the table for balance or the chair. We're just going to circle those hips in one direction. And then we're going to go the other direction.
At the same time.
We're going to reach those arms up. If you don't reach the arms up overhead, just reach them across the body. Just kind of stretch out that back. Good. Breathe deeply while you're doing this. Get that oxygen flowing. Good. Let's roll the shoulders. Bring them up, forward, and down. Make it as big as you can. We'll go the other direction. Do some twists. So just look behind you as far as you can. Do that a couple times. And then you're just going to sit down like you're sitting into a chair and stand back up again. So just push your seat back and stand up. Work those legs. Good. Couple more. And then you can sit down. Thank you, everyone. Nice job. So you can pick just one of these habits, right, that we just practiced, or you can do all 5 of them for 21 days, and you will begin to rewire your brain to a more positive state. It's not going to happen overnight, but we want this to be a lasting, gradual change. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at some of the physical things you can do to increase your happiness, because our bodies are seeking balance and equilibrium, and the physical things that you do have an effect on your brain and your emotions. So the first thing we're going to talk about is food. It's really important that we get enough nutrients, especially protein for older adults. We tend to lose muscle mass, or we all lose 8 to 10% of our muscle mass after the age of 30 every decade. And that can really add up. But you can prevent that from happening by lifting weights 2 to 3 times a week, doing some kind of strength resistance training, as well as eating enough protein. So if you're in my New Year, New You program, we're focusing a lot on that, 3 meals a day with protein and other things. So another reason why that's important is because a lot of the happy hormones in your brain, so serotonin, etc., they come from protein. So the building blocks of protein become the building blocks of your happy neurotransmitters, those happy hormones. So make sure you're eating enough. Water. So our brains are actually 80% water. Our bodies are 60% water, other than our brain. And we communicate electrically to our cells. It's one of the ways we communicate. So it's really important that you stay hydrated. It keeps you clear-minded and energized as well. And then movement. You don't need to do crazy movement like I have up here on the screen. Unless you want to. But something simple, again, walking is great. Walking, doing some chair stands, so getting up from the chair and sitting back down without using your hands, working up to that, is a really great practice to implement. And then sleep. So this is another topic for another day as well, but you want to try to get enough sleep. And there's a lot of processes and things that happen while we're sleeping. When you're resting, you're rebuilding all of those neurotransmitters and brain connections, etc. So really important to sleep. And when you go to bed and when you get up, I want you to spend a little more time is enjoying your bed. So tonight, when you go to bed and you lay down, you put your head on the pillow, I want you to just kind of like feel how comfortable it is to be in your bed. and start to soothe yourself. A lot of times our thoughts are just racing all over the place, but if you can bring your attention and your awareness to the stuff closest to you, and hopefully it's soothing and comfortable, your bed, that really helps you to fall asleep in a good place, and then you're more likely to wake up in a good place. So when you wake up, before you start thinking about all the things you have to do and the problems and things going on, spend a few moments just kind of like, ooh, it feels good to be in my bed, and just kind of snuggle there a little bit. There's a member here who was telling me what he does before he goes to bed. So he used to have a boat in the Caribbean, and he imagines that he and his wife are on this boat and it's rocking, and his wife is sleeping in the bed, and he's locking the doors and kind of just shutting everything down, and he can see the tinkling lights in the distance and the drums playing, and he thinks of all this right before he goes to bed, and he sleeps really well, doesn't wake up. So I thought, that is a great idea. All right, sunshine or light. They're starting to talk about this more. It's getting out into the media. So you want to go outside if you can. Even when the weather is, when it's rainy, try to just dress appropriately and get outside, as long as it's safe and it's not dangerous to walk. Because the lux, which is how they measure light, is much greater outside than anything you could get inside through a window, etc. And what this light does when it enters our eyes, some pretty neat chemical changes and things. So one of the things is it suppresses melatonin, which is the hormone that helps you to stay asleep. But if it doesn't stay suppressed, then you can feel sleepy during the day. So it also, when you get this light to your retinas, it also improves or stimulates serotonin, and that again is one of the hormones that is responsible for feelings of well-being and everything is okay in the world. So if you can get outside for 15 minutes, get that sun exposure without sunscreen, because that's going to again block the absorption for vitamin D, etc., or the conversion. I would recommend that. So get outside. If you live in Chicago in the winter and you're not able to get outside, you can purchase something like this as a light box. And I actually have one at home, and they're really great. They do cheer you up. Like I just put it on when I'm eating my breakfast or reading or something in the morning, and it feels really good to have that light on my face. It's not UV, so it doesn't damage your eyes, but it does make an impact if you suffer from seasonal affective disorder, SAD, or just feeling the blahs because it's been rainy or the sun hasn't been out for a while. Okay, so now we're just going to talk about some general things that you can do to be as happy as you can. So appreciation is really what we're going for. So if you can appreciate every chance that you can, you've made it, okay? And many of you do this all the time. The second thing is to get into what scientists call a flow. And the flow is when you're so engaged in like a passion that you kind of forget everything else that's going on around you, and you're just absorbed in this passion, and you're feeling good, and you're not really thinking about anything too much. So find a passion, get into flow. Spirituality and mindfulness, so it doesn't matter what your religion is, as long as you feel that you're connected to something larger than yourself, that's really important. And relationships are huge, as you probably know. It's not how many friends you have, but the quality of those relationships. Furthermore, if you have poor quality relationships, if you think that you have good relationships, you'll be happy. Like it's really amazing the power of the belief in your mind. So even if you don't have this perfect life, if you think that you do, it really has an impact. And giving love, whether it's to an animal or a person, and then just doing more of the things that you love to do. So having pets, going for walks, swimming, dinner and a movie, going to wonderful theater events provided by your wonderful Garlands, gardening, golf, playing cards, all of these things, music. And what all of these things are doing, if you can just pack your day with all of these wonderful things that you love to do, it's going to help you to get ahead of the game. Because it's much easier to feel good and continue to feel good and get that momentum going if you're feeling good. It's a lot harder to jump from feeling bad to feeling good. So you want to get into that that place of you're continually doing things that are going to make you happy and doing things that you love and that make you feel good. So does anyone know who this handsome devil is? No. No, it's not. But that was a good guess, and for a second I was like, did I put the wrong picture on? No, this is... Okay, here we go. This is a polymath. Does anyone know what that is? I had to look up that word. A polymath. So it's someone who's good at a lot of different things, like they're a mathematician, but also a philosopher. So this is Sir Thomas Browne. Is that familiar? Okay. Well, meet Sir Thomas Browne. In 1642, he wrote these words. I am the happiest man alive. I have that in me that can convert poverty to riches, adversity to prosperity. I am more invulnerable than Achilles. Fortune hath not one place to hit me. So this gentleman is obviously not reacting to any external circumstances, right? He's not dependent on what's going on around him to feel good. Instead, he's creating a good mood for himself, regardless of the situation or circumstances. And that is such a wonderful thing to be able to do, and we all have the power to be able to do that within us. So we think that happiness is something to be found, but we actually synthesize happiness. We do it all the time. So a tool that you can use to help you are your emotions. So I would like you to think of your emotions as a compass. They're not good or bad, but they're a guide. So if you're feeling good, you're most likely headed toward the outcome that you want. And if you're feeling bad, you're probably not headed toward the outcome that you want. So in most cases, when you're feeling badly, you don't want to take any big actions or make any big decisions until you're in a better feeling state, where you can be inspired to take action. And what usually happens, at least for me, is that the problem just goes away. When I'm feeling better, it's like, that's not a big deal that I thought that it was. So, I bet you know who this is. Good, very good. So he said, no problem can be solved from the same level of consciousness that created it. Did you hear that before? No, yes. So I hope that's attributed to him, because I did find it on the internet, so it must be true, right? But you do hear this. You do hear this quote a lot. And it basically means what I just said. You have to kind of get above the problem to look down on it and find the solution. Okay. So we are human, and we're not always going to feel good. You know, we're going to go up and down and in and out, and that's fine. The whole point of this lecture is to not have you be in this state of euphoria 100% of the time. It's to know that you're going to go up and you're going to go down, but you're going to be able to get back into feeling better and better, and that you can take steps to be more positive in your life, okay? But we're all going to have days and moments when we feel like this cat here, and we're grumpy and we're just not feeling good. So what are some strategies that you can do when you're feeling bad? So the first thing is, try to appreciate. So try to find something in your life that you can appreciate, right? You know, the sun is always rising. We don't have to do anything to make that happen. The food continues to grow. Like, there's such well-being and abundance around us. And so if you can, try to appreciate. But some days you're just not going to be able to do that, right? You're in a funk, and I cannot appreciate anything around me, and you just can't do it. And I understand that. I definitely understand. So in that situation, you want to just soothe yourself, okay? Be kind to yourself. Don't give yourself such a hard time. And a way that you can soothe yourself is by being more general about things. So when you're feeling good, that's a great time to be specific and go into details and just milk it for all it's worth and tell your friends and family all the good news. But when you're feeling badly, you don't want to get into specifics. You don't want to get negative. You don't want to spiral down into that negative pathway. You want to go more general about things. Get it? Okay, so you can say things to yourself like, I'm probably making a bigger deal out of this than I need to, right? How many times do we do that? We make a big, hairy deal out of things. We don't need to, really. And the other thing you can do as you start to feel a little bit better is to remind yourself that things are always working out for you. Things are always working out for you. They always work out. They do. And because things are always working out for me, there must be some value to whatever it is I'm going through. Because things are always working out for you, there has to be some value in this. Because after all, as we mentioned before, well-being is dominant. The sun continues to rise, food continues to grow. There is abundance all around us. And last but not least, if you just, well, this isn't the last one, but if you're just, that's not working for you, then you can distract yourself. And distraction, I know, has gotten a bad rep, but there are healthy ways to distract yourself. So you can go for a walk, watch a movie, talk to a friend, try to laugh, get your mind off of whatever's bothering you. Eat a good meal. Maybe you have been skipping meals. Listen to music, games, books, etc. Okay, and last but not least, when in doubt, take a nap, go to bed, sleep. You're bound to wake up feeling a little bit better the next morning before you start thinking about all of your problems. What sleep does for you is it stops the momentum. So if you're really worked up about something, if you can go to bed and sleep for a little bit, it's going to stop that spiral downward. Okay? And then another tool is sliding up the scale of emotions. So what do I mean by that? So let's say you're feeling miserable and guilty and depressed and like really badly. If you kind of take your power back a little bit, you get a little angry or maybe revengeful, like that, not that I'm suggesting you stay in there or do anything revengeful, but that feels a little bit better than depression and guilt and sadness. So if you can get angry, you're taking your power back a little bit, and that's going up the scale of emotions. Now, you're not going to stay there. You're going to go from angry to annoyed to bored to hopeful to appreciation. And once you're at appreciation, you're there. That's what we're going for. So that's another tool you can use. So what do you think? Does happiness increase as we get older?
Yes.
Okay, good. Smart audience. So yes, you're right. There is a lot of evidence to suggest we get happier the older we get. A Gallup telephone poll of 340,000 people in the US showed that happiness comes with age. So I have a graph here, and on the far right, you can, it's 18 years of age, so you can see at 18, happiness drops, and it goes down until about 50, and then it starts to go back up again. And research said that when you reach 85, you're even more satisfied with yourselves than when you were 18. And people in their 80s were found to have the most positive emotions. And here are some theories why. You may or may not agree. You might have some theories of your own. There may be a deeper appreciation of the value of life, a feeling of fulfillment, a greater ability to handle and understand life's vicissitudes, fewer expectations of yourselves, the ability to live in the present and not worry about the future, the wisdom to know you can't please everyone all the time, the inclination to see situations more positively. So see, you're already way ahead of the game. But just to recap some points on how to feel better, because happiness is a choice. So do more of the things that make you feel good. Follow your bliss. Pursue your passions. Incorporate a few of those appreciation exercises every morning. Write about the things you love to do, or tell your friends about the good things that are happening in your life. It sounds silly, but when you do these things, you're actually reprogramming your brain to pull more of the good out of life. Try meditation. Start with just 2 minutes a day and gradually work up to 10 or 15 minutes. Move your body. Get outside. Eat lots of really good food with protein. Play, dance, have as much fun as you can. And when you're feeling down and out, remember that this too shall pass. Just lay low for a while. Try to get your mind off things. Lighten up. Accept where you are. Remember there is value in everything. And don't forget to appreciate. Appreciate, appreciate, appreciate every chance you can. Try these things out, and you might end up being the happiest person you know. So I'm going to leave you with one final story. So my mom, she's really creative. She loves to do things around the holidays. And so every Easter, she'll blow out raw eggs. She'll color them and then blow them out. And then she'll find inspirational or funny messages online, and she'll type them up and cut them out, and then she'll roll them up and stuff them in the egg. So it's a lot of work, and then we all get an egg. We get to pick one. And after our meal, we smash it on our plate, and then we pull out the message. And so my message this year in my egg was, think like a proton, always positive. So thank you very much for coming. I'm happy to answer any questions.
In any of the studies, did you ever find any differences in gender?
So the question was, in any of the studies, did you find any differences in gender? So the studies that I looked at, that's a great question, Nancy. The studies that I looked at were either all men or all women. And I guess the last one we looked at for older adults was a mixed study. But that's a really great point. And I was thinking about that because, the hormones are much different with men and women, and so, yeah, I don't have the answers to that. But there was a really interesting Harvard study where they followed, it was just men though, when they were freshmen in Harvard, and this was, 50 years ago, and they followed them. So we need more studies on women, but yeah. Any other questions? Yeah.
You mentioned protein. There is such, my opinion, it just seems like you're looking for a percentage of protein that we should get on a daily basis. And I know that's individualized, but do you have any general older women maybe that we should keep an eye on?
Yeah, so I recommend 0.4 to 0.6 grams per pound of body weight. So what you can do is take your, or maybe it's per kilogram, but here's a way that you can figure it out. Just take your body weight in pounds, divide that by 3, and that's going to give you 0.5 grams per kilogram, and so that's the amount you want to aim for at each meal. So for a 150-pound person, that would be about 25 grams of just protein.
And Sandra?
Yes.
Do you subscribe to the theories that beef is the least valuable of all the proteins?
So the question was, do I subscribe to the theories that beef is the least valuable of all proteins? I do not. I'm in the camp that there haven't been any studies showing that saturated fat is harmful to humans. That the studies that we got all kind of excited about came from rabbits and cholesterol. I learned that in nutrition school. So there's a lot of information out now about more sugars and fats and that combination. So I'm more of the camp that we need to watch our refined carbohydrates and sugars versus fats. But I know everybody kind of has a different opinion, even the scientific world. So do your own research is what I suggest, and find what works best for your body. Thank you so much for coming. You've been a great audience. I really appreciate it.